What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Fish and Grits, the podcast. We are joined today by someone that we have been looking forward to talking to for quite some time. All of us have watched the past 3 years on Sundays play for our Atlanta Falcons. He is a starting linebacker for those Falcons. He's hailing from St. Louis, Missouri. He joined the Falcons by way of Yale. He's actually the user on the Falcon, or the player on the Falcons that I user in my Madden games. He is Foye Oluokun, number 54 for your Atlanta Falcons. Foye, welcome aboard.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you guys for having me. Definitely a pleasure to be on.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's definitely an honor to have you here.
Our honor and pleasure over here.
Yeah,
Because we know how talented this guy is. And we've been championing this guy, especially Ryan, since day one.
Oh, yeah.
The day we drafted you, he was all like, this guy's going to be special. I'm like, how do you know that, Ryan? He's like,
I got in there. I was like, he's going to start special teams, but watch.
I think you won my defensive player of the week almost every week this year.
That's funny.
So, yeah, man, appreciate you coming on. Quick question for you. What is, because on national broadcast, you hear some names get butchered. What's the worst pronunciation of your name you've heard in the broadcast?
Man, no, the worst one, they didn't even pronounce, they didn't even try. So it was actually, at the end of the season, so I would have thought that, my name had been said enough. But I got the interception from Kansas City, and I was running, and the guy, took a long pause while I was running because he was obviously looking for my name. Then he found it. And then he just didn't really give it a try. He just said a linebacker or something like 52. I was like,
I remember that.
the linebacker.
So, yeah, I mean, the first couple of games was pretty bad too. But, I've just heard it so many times over the years that, it's kind of motivational for me to just, make plays and make sure people know how to say it. That's all I really want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a Nigerian name?
Nigerian, yeah, Yoruba.
Yoruba? Okay. I'm Igbo. Igbo over here.
Yeah. We got actually I don't know about anybody else on the team right now. But yeah, I'm actually staying with my friend right now. He's Igbo. So we've been making jokes all weekend. Yeah.
Is there a fraternity in the NFL of Nigerian players? Do y'all all know each other? Is there anyone who else is in the league?
If I play against somebody and we kind of matched up against each other, then we definitely might say something. I remember my rookie year, because I don't really know that many people coming in. Now that I've been playing, it's now I recognize people. But my rookie year, I was on special teams and punt against somebody, and after the play, he's like, "Nice job, boy." I was like, "Yeah." I'm like that.
Have you been to Nigeria?
I haven't been since I was 2, so we're trying to get that back on track. But my dad goes back from time to time, but we didn't really have much money to get our whole family back at once. So now we're definitely trying to get that plan.
Now y'all do. Now y'all got a little.
We got enough
Yeah. I definitely need to. I haven't been over there, so
really?
I definitely need to go.
Yeah, my dad's from the country too. It looks rough over where you grew up. So we definitely always trying to give back and help his all our cousins and uncles and stuff. So
Nice.
Go back and help us see it in person.
Oh man. So usually when we have guests on here, we like to, before we get into today time, we like to sort of go back in your past and just so our audience can and us as well can sort of get to know you as a person and what your humble beginnings were. So the first thing I want to sort of ask you is so I read on the wiki that you were born in Missouri. What was that sort of like as a kid? Growing up in that state? I know we hear a lot of things about Missouri in terms of the race relations and things like that. How was your perspective growing up there?
And when you grow up in it, you don't really think much of it. So I was from St. Louis, kind of lived close to the city, north. I was in Normandy. So it was straight. I mean, we were just so simple of people. You move out of Missouri and you realize people got worry about different stuff that I'm not used to worrying about. So, I went to high school kind of west, and that's the more affluent area. So it kind of took me a while to fully fit in. I don't know if I ever really fully fit in, but I was good at sports, so I made friends and stuff. But then when I came back to, people who lived towards the city, it was tough just because, I was always out there in the more affluent area. So it kind of took me a while to really gain my confidence in who I was as a person and really just own who I was as a person. Now, that's all that matters. Like, you just show up and, if you're confident who you are, always true to who you are, they're gonna like you. So, but really, like, there wasn't much to do there. I always say, if you wanna, like, people are like, oh, you're from St. Louis, what's it like? I'm like, there's nothing there for you unless you know people there. So, but we do take a lot of pride in it. Anybody from St. Louis will tell you we're from St. Louis, and we always want to see somebody doing well from St. Louis. So it's cool though. I like it. I definitely want to help as many people there as I can with whatever they need.
For sure. So just on a culture tip, did you grow up listening to Nelly and Lunatics and Murphy?
So like anytime Nelly comes on, like on a playlist during practice or in the weight room, or I always request it. If anybody asks me like, oh yeah, who's your top rapper, I'm always gonna say Nelly first, just they gotta recognize like his greatness. They're always gonna fight like, oh, why do you say Nelly? And I play a couple Nelly songs and I see him dancing. Let them know.
That's why.
We were just talking about that beforehand. I was like, Nelly's a bit underrated, man.
Yeah.
So many hits, man. So many hits.
Do you have any like underground St. Louis rappers or artists that we should be on the lookout for?
My friend tried to keep me in the loop with that. I know one guy who used to always play against. He actually moved down to Atlanta, but his name is Alvarez Jackson, and it's Rez. I think his name is Rez, R-E-Z-Z. But he has a good couple songs out. So he's also friends with Ezekiel Elliott. We went to the same high school, but he hung around with Zeke more. But yeah, he's kind of making a name for himself now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So again, like you just mentioned, you played a lot of sports. So in your youth, you were a multi-sport athlete. So which one was sort of your favorite, and which one were you best at? And did you see early on that football might have been the one that you could sort of, make a career out of?
No. So people probably say I was best at soccer growing up, like when I was real little until maybe middle school. I played basketball. People say I'm good at that. That's what I thought I was going to go to college for. Baseball, I was kind of just naturally good at. I didn't really practice it enough to be like elite. But I'm definitely good at it. What's it? Basketball, baseball. Oh, football. Football, I played 4th, 5th grade just for fun because our basketball coach started a football team. I was good at it. Like, I was fast. I played running back. I was still smaller back in the day, and cornerback. So I stopped after that because I was playing way too many sports at once. I didn't pick it back up in high school because it was a choice between football and soccer, and I kind of grew tired of soccer. I got in some trouble with some of the kids that said, they're not kind of built like me. Like, my brother plays football now. I just want to play football. So I ended up choosing football, and it didn't really hit me until maybe junior year. End of junior year, I could continue playing into college because I wanted to play basketball. I love basketball. But my coach was like, you know what? Like, I was going on these basketball tournaments and stuff. You realize how good you have to be to really make it like to a good D1 school. And two, they're like 6'6", and I'm about 6'1". Like, I was playing a position that I was kind of bigger, so I was playing against power forwards sometimes like 6'8". Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what, this might not be it for me. So my coach, because Barat, he told me, whatever, you want to take this seriously, I think you have a good opportunity. What school do you want to go to? I said the Ivy Leagues, and he got to send my tape over. So it was his recommendation, and then my tape too. Like, they just all opened their doors for me. Like, in my grades, they all just opened the doors for me there. And then it really didn't hit me that I could make it to the league until after my freshman year. I had a good freshman year playing corner, and I was obviously getting a little bit bigger. I was doing weights a lot better. I always wanted to get bigger. I love lifting. I moved to safety, and then what really helped me with my last year and a half, I moved to like a hybrid safety linebacker. But they was always thought like, oh, you have a good opportunity, you're a good athlete to make it to the league. So it's like whatever I needed to do is what I was going to do. Keep playing football.
Was that like a star position that you were playing?
Yeah. So back in the day, that Michigan defense used to be good. Like with Jabril Peppers used to play. That's what I was playing. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you, in terms of like growth, at what age were you at your full height?
Sophomore year of high school. I thought it was going to be 6'5". So at the end of sophomore year, I grew to spread out to 6'1 and a half. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm about to clearly keep growing the rest of high school. I was dunking well and everything. I'm going to be a want to go to the league in basketball. I'm going to start practicing hard, drop all the other sports. And then it grow. It started growing wider.
Get wider.
Yeah. Yep.
So you in high school, you shared the field and the court with Zeke Elliott.
Yeah.
So y'all had one of the most prestigious programs in the state, and y'all finished runner up in state twice. So first of all, how hard was 3 times?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So how rough is that finishing runner up 3 times?
It hurt every time. The first time was my brother's senior year, and they had a dope class. Our best player that year went to Yale to be a receiver. He had a good. I think he at one point was the all-time receptions leader up there at Yale. So in a season. So and he's a quiet dude. He's like a quiet leader, led by example. And he was really good at basketball too. But that was one of the first times I seen him cry, took emotion when he lost. My brother cried. A couple other seniors crying. I was like, you ever seen Saving Private Ryan where he's just looking around, shell shocked? That was me.
Oh yeah.
We were so good and we had lost. And then next year, basically the same thing happened. We started off the year kind of slow, but then we picked up our stride and then we made it back to state and we lost. In the third year, man, we made it back. We were killing everybody. Made it back. We're kind of, because of the high school, it was very educational high school. Not a lot of people per grade. So the problem is we would get to the state championship, we might play somebody in Missouri who's a public school out there and country around, I don't know, somewhere out there. And they got big linemen and stuff, and then they just run the ball the whole game. And so we end up losing the third one. And, you kind of go in there thinking, third time's a charm, ain't no way you're going to lose 3 in a row. We had lost that one. And, seeing all my boys who I came into high school with in 7th grade really, break down and be emotional. I think about that really anytime I need a little pick-me-up before the games. I'll be thinking about every person who, kind of went through that. And, that's why I'm still, trying always to get back to a championship. Eventually, I won my Ivy League championship my senior year, but I want to now get to the Super Bowl, win a championship, and, to be happy at the end of the season. So it was tough, though, seeing back-to-back losses. But, we played against the best in the state, and we were the best in the state, but always motivation now.
You must have went to you just said your receiver also went to Yale? Y'all, that must have been a really smart school.
Yeah. It probably ranked the best in Missouri, to be honest with you. Very educational. You got to take a test to get in and everything. So, yeah, everybody there is smart.
That was like my high school. And
yeah.
Part of the reason we only won 1 year. Now, granted, we had a super squad. Matter of fact, the Rams head coach Sean McVay was my quarterback.
Really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So he it was pretty much like that. We're undersized. My senior year, I was the biggest person. I was 6'1", 275, and I was bigger, 15 pounds heavier than everybody else on the next heaviest person on the team. So
yeah,
we were tiny.
Yep. Game always won in the trenches, as we found out, right?
Oh yeah.
And always won in the trenches.
But that leads me to part 2 of this question. So how was Zeke as a teammate?
He taught me how to really just love the game. I'm kind of more high strung, always, there are doubters out there, got to prove people wrong, this and that. And he was just so fun. He just loves the game he's playing. And, you take it seriously for sure. And we're just very top-notch competitors. We got dog competitiveness in us, and I think that's what pushes us to make us great. But just the way that he does it in his fun style, and he's always, in a laughing mood and everything, just really something I took from him and kind of implemented it to my game going forward. Just really enjoy what you're always doing out there. He's a good teammate. I like him.
Was he just as competitive in basketball?
Yeah, I think because I played a lot more basketball than him. So, and my freshman year, I played more. And I remember after one game, he didn't play that much, or maybe he didn't play. Came out to me, it's that's the last time I'll ever not play. And I was like, yeah. I mean, we lost the game too, so I was pretty down. It's kind of looked at him I didn't know what to say. I'm not a comforting person. But that was the last time he didn't ever play. Like he started developing his jump shot. He got better at basketball, and then us two going through like by our senior year, I think we only lost 3 games that year, or 4 games that year, and we kind of were 2-sport athletes. And then he obviously ran track too, and I played baseball, but he won state in track, so he's a hell of an athlete. Yeah. But yeah, we're just 2 good competitors, really.
That's awesome. I mean, those type of, when you have 2 great athletes like that on a team, y'all just drive each other.
For sure.
You had mentioned something earlier about how, you kind of note things in your mind. And that kind of leads us to a recurring theme in your career over the next several years. And it first started off as, you came out of high school as a 0-star recruit, and typically you don't look at NFL prospects or NFL players and you're like, oh, but every now and then you find one like you're like, this guy, how did he get overlooked? So it seems like you fielded, visits from many teams, like Stanford looked at you, Minnesota looked at you, and things like that. And as I was looking through, I noticed that only Ivy League schools offered you. Was that by choice?
Yes, that's by choice, because I never went, like, junior year, funny story, they were sending me mail in the mail. And I guess my brother had went through the same process, not with football though, just from colleges. You get a whole bunch of spam mail when it's time to start applying for school. So I think my dad would see these and kind of, not a school I want to go to, Minnesota, not a school I want to go to, boy, Tennessee, whatever. He'd throw the messages away, the mail away. And then my coach came up to me one day. He's like, yo, Illinois just called. Like, they're wondering why you're not attending junior day. I was like, what's a junior day, first of all? He's like, yeah, these schools are trying to get in contact with you. That's still when I wanted to play basketball. But the teams were coming, obviously, to see Zeke, and then they saw me, and they thought, I had some interest. And that's when he asked me, like, I think you should take this football thing more seriously. And so why I only got offers from Ivy Leagues, I said, I only want to go to an Ivy League school and maybe Stanford or stuff. Then Stanford, called, but they wanted me to go on to a camp like on my own dime, and we were going to do that. I already had the Ivy Leagues offering me, so I actually went to a basketball camp, Yale first, fell in love with like the campus, and it just didn't seem preppy at all. Like wear sweats, and I'm with my boys now, and we all kind of act how we grew up. So I really like that you could be anybody who you wanted to be, and still fit in there. So I chose Yale for football camp. I got offered after that, like the next week, and I just was set on that.
So, what was the competition level like at Yale?
It was good. So I think that Yale has great athletes. Obviously, the top-notch athletes, like Alabama or stuff. Like, we're not going to see no Calvin Ridley or Julio Jones in the Ivy League. It just wouldn't make sense. But I think the top-notch athletes at Yale can definitely compete in any conference in football. We might not be a superstar at that level, but we go to that level, we get that same training that they do, just focus on just football, no school. I think that they can have an opportunity to flourish. So the thing that makes the Ivy League different is that there is, the bottom part of the Ivy League. Yeah, they're not going to be able to compete at an SEC level. So obviously, when a team is good, they probably have more seniors than another team, or they've all played together a little longer, and that's what makes the Ivy League team better than this Ivy League team. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be relatively the same teams week in, week out. Everybody's going to be at the same level.
Who is Yale's rival?
Harvard's our biggest rival, supposedly Harvard, and then Princeton. So it's like we play Princeton and Harvard each year at the very end of the year. Princeton and Harvard. Harvard's like our big game. We get the most fans and stuff. But me personally, and I know a lot of people personally, we don't like Dartmouth at all.
Dartmouth
right now. I don't know what it is, like the coaching staffs. I don't know what blood we got in between us, but that's it. Do not like Harvard people come up to me like I guess there's some linemen or some some tight ends and stuff. And I got respect for them. I ain't got no bad beef with them. Like they'd be like, "Oh, you went to Yale?" I'd be like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Yeah, you never beat us or something." I was like, I don't remember playing you. That's very cool. Because my last 2 years we beat them, so that's all I remember. My first 2 years we didn't. But I guess before I came, they were running the table for a little bit.
Do you still watch Yale games from time to time?
Oh yeah, I remember the last one I watched. I think there was a protest at halftime, and I was with my boy, a tight end from Yale. He's on the Falcons right now, Jaden. I was watching with him. We're like, what's happening? We had to go down to our hotel that the afternoon. So we were kind of cutting it close because of the protest at halftime. Like, what is this? This is ridiculous. You would never see this in the SEC school or something, right? Like, how they get on the field just sitting there?
Right.
So let me ask you. So, what was the biggest adjustment going from St. Louis, growing up in St. Louis, to going to Yale?
I think it was similar. I think that's why I liked Yale. So it's in New Haven, Connecticut, and they have snow. St. Louis, like, it wasn't the weather, and it's kind of a little bit of a inner city vibe to it. So I really like that. I don't know. It's probably just being in the Northeast in general. They just act a little bit different. Everything was more fast paced. I'm kind of a chill dude. Midwestern, we're like more chill, more simple. In the Northeast, they're kind of like always high strung about something. Like, just relax a little bit. Because they got that New York feel to them. That's like, it's Connecticut's like a little suburb of New York, basically. Yeah.
Right. I almost feel like Missouri is like an extension, if not like an extension of the South, even though it's technically Midwest.
Yeah. Like when I got to college, I learned that Minnesota people think they're from the Midwest. I was like,
Really?
I mean, I guess that is because like Minnesota, Wisconsin, whatever, they think they're like the heart and soul of it. And I'm from Missouri. I thought it was Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska. Like, that makes sense. Like, middle of the country.
Right. They're mid-north.
Right.
Yeah, they're north.
It's a totally different vibe up there. Yeah.
They sound Canadian.
Yeah, South Canadian.
So after you left Yale, or your senior year of Yale, the theme kind of continues where you didn't get a combine invite, but you garnered the attention of quite a few teams. And I saw that, some pretty big teams like the Chiefs brought you in, Seattle brought you in for a workout. But when you didn't get that combine invite, what went through your mind? Was it kind of like that Jordan meme that goes around where he's like, and I took that personal?
I take a lot of things personal, really. I can find anything. Jordan's my favorite athlete. I got 23 tatted on me, but I always wore 23 growing up. So I take a lot of things personally, but at the same time, it is what it is. I kind of took it as a blessing a little bit too, because it gave me 2 extra weeks to train for my pro day. And I had 2 pro days set up, luckily, and that kind of put me on the map too. So the combine, I trained with a lot of people who went to a little bit bigger schools, and I saw they weren't getting invited, so I kind of felt bad for them. But at the end of the day, as long as I get my times out, they're going to be seen. It's scout's job to find talent, and it was just my time to put out the talent 2 weeks later after the combine. So that was a little bit of a blessing, but it was definitely a chip on my shoulder. Like, they're going to see me regardless, so I got to do what I got to do.
So out of all the NFL teams that you sort of visited with, was there anything memorable about those that stuck out, or what was the most memorable visit you had?
I liked the Arizona visit. Was my first visit, and it was just crazy to me that this was really taking place. Like, they called me up. I drove back to Connecticut to keep training after my second pro day for just in case I get picked up, rookie camps. I just didn't want to be out of shape. Get back.
You drove from where? You drove from where to Connecticut?
So I was training in Denver. I still go back to Denver every year to train. Drove to St. Louis, see my family all right, here we go. In Denver training, flew to New York for a pro day at Fordham, which got moved to Columbia because it started snowing. Flew back to Denver to train for like a week or two. Then drove to St. Louis to see my family. Then took my car to New Haven, which is like a 17-hour drive, to do that second pro day. Did that, but didn't have to do any testing. Now, because I had the good numbers, they just took me through an hour, 30 minutes of drill work, which I luckily prepared for, but I was not expecting because I already did a pro day and that did not happen. So then all these coaches come, they're like, yo, we're going to just take these drills. And they was just hammering me. I was like, what's up, bro? Like, last drill, like, they were 10 minutes. This is an hour and change. Like, But they said I did well and I didn't complain about stuff. Like this was like a big test. And then I stayed up there to keep training because now I know that I'm going to be in a training camp, rookie camp. So I want to be in good football shape. So I was just training up there. So, now teams are asking about me. They've seen all this film, the test numbers match the film. They want to get me to like see medicals and stuff. So now I went to Yale. So like when we play, we just drive up like upstate to Massachusetts. That's like 2 hours or whatever. Now this team is calling me to like fly me to Arizona for, stay 2 days there for, to see their coaches and do medicals and stuff. So that was crazy. I'm like sitting here, I'm seeing like dudes walking out the facility like, oh, that's really like Buddha, you know what I'm saying? Then like the next week it was Kansas City. Then like 2 weeks after that was the Jets and Giants. Got to go work out with them, So it was just surreal. And then Kansas City was cool because I've been there like when I was little for basketball tournaments. And I'm sitting in a hotel, like I'm looking over the city that I always used to travel to before. Now it's like there's something totally different. So that was really cool too. But it was just a crazy experience just to see that like, this is the path that's starting right now. This is a journey that's starting, but a lot more work has to be done.
So just as an aside, were you I know it's a weird thing with the football, like growing up, were you a Rams fan or a Chiefs fan?
Die-hard Rams fan.
Okay.
And then they left. And when they left, I left them. Yeah. I had no team. I was a Dallas fan for 2 years when Zeke got drafted.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the only game I would watch. I had homework, so I would watch Dallas and then do my homework. But yeah. Then I was basically teamless, so I was straight from whatever. That was one of my new favorite teams.
So, what kind of workouts did you do to prepare yourself for like the combine and for your pro day and those workouts for teams, private workouts for teams?
Yeah, so I was training at a facility that kind of had under the radar players, but it was out there in Denver. It was Lauren Landau, and I guess Christian McCaffrey trained with him since he was a child. So you see how he runs, everything's perfect. And then Christian bust out that low 4.4s or 4.3 that one run, whatever. So clearly it was working. So that's one thing I never done was train myself how to run, like all that form stuff. So that was a big part of it. A lot bigger parts like flexibility I never really focused on, and kind of getting all those little muscles right. That's another big thing. And then at the combine, the pro days, you have specific things like bench press, which if you just bench normally, you might be strong, but you're not going to get a good bench press number. So a lot of it's just how you train. It's not necessarily being at your strongest for that pro day. It's just how you're training for it. So they actually had the formulas to do all that. The different kind of benches, inclines, getting your back stronger for rows and all that stuff. And then when pro day comes, you want to be at your peak performance. So the week before pro day, you kind of take everything lighter, and then pro day you get out there and just put on the show. But the trick is after pro day, you got to switch up how you train again to get ready for football and being at your strongest again. So now you have to kind of change your reps up, change the different kind of workouts you're doing. And now you're not just running linearly or doing your normal 5-10-5 cuts. You're trying to get back into football shape. So I think it was important that I went back. So when I went up to Yale for that second pro day, I had to make sure I was still working with my coaches, getting back into that football movement and all that football shape in order to be ready to go into training camp right.
That's sort of interesting. What is your opinion about the fact that you almost have to do a whole separate set of workouts that aren't really, I guess, utilitarian or practical in order to just to impress people for the combine, and then like you said, got to go back to regular work?
Yeah, it's kind of the trick of the trade a little bit. You gotta be because that's how they kind of judge. They have to have a system in order to say like, oh, he's this type of athlete or that type of athlete. But when people have time to train for it now, like it's their job to be at their best during the right time. So you kind of just have to do it. It's unfortunate though. Like I feel like another thing scouts have probably learned is that people do that. People, train their best, train the right way to run their 40 the best. But that might not be their game speed. So I think they also have to watch, game film like, oh, he keeps up with this person who supposedly ran this, or this guy supposedly ran this, but he doesn't actually keep up with this person who ran that. So, it goes a lot into scouting. It's a tough job, I think, but sometimes you can hit, sometimes you can miss, but the numbers kind of give you a guideline on what you're looking at.
On that same theme of speed, real quick, how fast is Tyreek Hill?
Oh man, that's alien. He will play off, and then he runs by them. And like, these aren't slow people; these are corner safeties. Like, those are defensive backs, so they run fast, and he just runs right by them. So I think one thing we did well was we didn't play off of him, and I think Tampa kind of stole that from us, and they didn't play off of him. And those are two games they did the worst this year. So obviously Tampa won the Super Bowl off of it, and we played them really well. I think we should have won if we executed a couple other plays better, but I think that's the way to do it. They had help. I don't think we really had help over them, but get your hands on them and try to run with them, because if you just let him run, he gets to that top speed like that, and then it's faster than your top speed, so you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw you get your hands on it, like, I immediately thought, I was like, oh, he's gone. Like, nobody's catching Foye. And then, like, Tyreek stopped, like, got mad that the ball got intercepted, and was like, all right, let's go. I was like, golly.
I watched it, like, because I was tired of a long drive, but still I was running faster than most everybody on the field. But he just looked like it was easy for him just to catch up that quickly. I was like, ugh, he's fast. I told the coach that's the only person in the league who can catch me, but they laughed at that.
What about DK? You think DK could track you down?
I told my boys, block the receivers.
Oh man, now that's the crazy thing, because we talked about Oliver earlier in the year, and how he looked like he struggled against confidence when he faced faster receivers.
Mm-hmm.
He locked down Tyreek that game, and he running stride for stride with them, and I'm like, man, you could tell his confidence went up as the season went on.
Yeah, that's my boy too, Isaiah. So I'm happy for him. I kind of looked at him, and he looked at me like, we're boys now on defense. So, he comes up to me, like, asking me questions in the middle of the game. Like, let's say I'm shook, I'll go up to him asking him questions. Like, we always try to keep our spirits up and our confidence up. So I love when he plays well, and he likes when I play well.
That's awesome. Y'all got that communication.
Yeah.
So fast forwarding a little bit, what was it like on draft day? Speaking of the Falcons as we were, what was it like when you received that call? Like, what was going through your mind? Where were you? Just explain the scenario.
So I was still up in Connecticut. I went to my coach's house on the third day of the draft, because I knew that's when I could have potentially been taken. And I'd seen a running back of ours who was like really good, not get drafted like 2 years before. So I'm thinking, like, I'm getting kind of all this hype now. My agent told me it's a good chance I might be drafted. I've gone to these visits, which is a good signal you might be drafted. But I've seen people not get drafted, and there's a lot of people out there who think they're going to get drafted and don't. So I didn't want to be around a whole bunch of people like who might be watching. I don't get drafted, be kind of not embarrassing, but just be awkward. So I said I'm going to dip off to my coach's house, kind of just watch with him, and whatever happens, happens. So I was asleep for the first 2 rounds, like the 4th and 5th round. Is that how it was? 4th and 5th round. I just fell asleep. I don't know, for some reason I just put my phone on, blast on and vibrate, and I put it by my ear. I was tired. And then woke up end of the 5th, going into the 6th, and then my phone, like, I hadn't really gotten any texts or calls, which my agent said usually people get blown up, like, because one, by that time, people start recruiting you to be a free agent, like, yo, come to my team if we don't draft you. And I wouldn't do any of those. So I was kind of confused. Excuse me. And I texted my agent, like, what's happening? And kind of right after that, I got a call from a USA number. Like, I'm like, USA, so I'm answering any phone call that, I'm seeing. I answered it, and eventually it was somebody in the Falcons organization. And then, they passed it to the GM, they passed it to the head coach, they passed it to Arthur Blank, and then they're talking. They say, we've done a lot of evaluation, would think, like, we're going to take you with the next pick. Are you ready to be a Falcon? And that's when your heart kind of drops, and you're like, no way, this is about to happen. And they have, like they said, they had the 200th pick, which was like 2 picks. So, but still in my mind, I'm like, I don't know, maybe they're like selling me on stuff. So I hang up, I'm just watching, like, I texted my old coach, my parents, my brother. Yeah, that's all I really had time to text. And then I was just watching on the screen, and then my name popped up. And, they butchered my name, whatever. But I was just like, ain't no way that really just happened. But I just took a picture of it, and I was like, it's really real. And then like 2 minutes later, your phone blows up from all the Falcons media. Everybody like, you found out, is now congratulating you. And then it was just like surreal, really. Like it took me maybe a day to really hit that, I'd like to be in the NFL, but it was more surreal that, something that you worked so hard on really came true. That's what hits the hardest at the moment. And then next day you're like, I'm in the NFL, let me get back to training. Yeah.
That's dope.
Quick window. That's it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Quick turnaround. It's like, back to training. That's real though, because I mean, as a professional athlete, that is your lifeblood.
Right. Cutthroat job too. So, if you're not training for it, somebody else is. That's one thing you learn real quick.
Right. And I guess also it's like in getting picked at that, it's like, there's no guarantees really. So
Exactly.
so there's no time. Well, did you celebrate it? Like was there any kind of celebration? Like with your coach? Did y'all pop a bottle? Or, wait, you might have been underage at that point. No, you're not.
No, I wasn't. I think I was
Okay.
I was 21.
Okay.
I went back to campus and a couple of my teammates, we all went out to a bar and we drank some celebratory drinks, and then next morning woke up and did a little light lift and stuff. I don't remember when I went back to St. Louis. Probably soon after that, because then I wanted to get back down to Atlanta for a rookie camp. So yeah.
So, what was your first impression? After you knew the Falcons called you, had talked to you, and you drafted you.
Impressions of the Falcons?
Mm-hmm.
I just heard things of Debo and Dre. So I think I talked to the linebacker coach a couple of times, Brick at the time. And, he said, look at these two and see what you think of them. Like, where are you comparable or not comparable? But Dre was a long athlete, which I feel he's like 6'4" though. But I was 6'1". I feel like I have long limbs and stuff. So we kind of move the same. And then Bo is just quick and really fast. Obviously gets through tiny spaces, good instinct. So I said, I'm more of like Dre, but I see that probably want me to have some of Debo in me. So, in order to be the best linebacker that I can be, I think I need to, focus on, keep being like Dre, improve my game and be more of a player like Dre. But in order to get to the next level, be able to make instincts and big plays like Bo. So the consistency of Dre and the big playmaking ability of Bo. That's what I want to get at. He loved that answer. And then he said, yeah, we're going to help work to get to that. So as soon as I wanted to get down there, like, it was my job to really put in all the effort to be the best player I could be.
I can definitely see that now too, especially this year, because you getting to show, especially in the latter half of the season, you really got to show off some of your blitzing ability, kind of like, what Dre was touted for, and your ability to cover has improved. So not improved, but like has been shown here, because that's got to be something that's second nature to you, like covering people since you were a safety in a corner, and you had a little bit of that in you. And I'm sure the soccer background helped you with that footwork and the ability to play that. Does that help at all?
Oh, for sure. I think a lot of kids kind of specialize in sports. I think one thing that's good about football is it's only in one season for sure. So you can play multiple different sports, and then all those sports are going to help you on the football field. So I don't like when kids, specialize in just basketball or just baseball. I think you got to play everything. Even the quarterback, they play baseball and football, and then they eventually play football or whatever. So everything helps you out, because there's some skills like footwork in soccer, like arm strength, or how you feel in baseball. I don't know, but it all translates to something else. So it's all like injury prevention too, to be honest with you. So,
you probably make a pretty good quarterback too.
Oh, do I? Man, I told coach put me a quarterback. Listen. I got three nowadays. I got 3 good throws a game where I like throw my arm out, because the NFL ball is heavy. I'll be like, bro, I can toss that thing, but only 3 times. And then that thing starts to get too heavy.
Run some end around, some reverse passes.
Yeah. Yep.
Little deflate gate action.
Yeah. Make sure you take the air out before you put me in.
Not 12 gauge. You'd be a wild bean or whatever they call it when when Sanu was here. You'd have to come up with something. The wild Olu.
Yeah, something like that.
So I'm curious though. Did you do like most rookies after you got drafted and make that big impulse buy?
Nah. I never. That's one thing I say for being from St. Louis. Like, I didn't know I didn't want to buy anything really. I have a car, like even my car, I have a Toyota Camry. It's tricked out and like probably the best Camry I've ever seen. But yeah, like at first the most expensive thing I owned was my couch. Like at first I was renting furniture because I didn't have the time to go furniture shopping. Nor did I have like a girl or nothing. And my parents weren't close where they could like come do everything for me. So I just had like I just wanted an apartment with furniture in it, and then I'm just playing football. I'm not worried about stuff. So eventually I said, one thing I am going to do, I'm going to buy like a chain of some sort, which I've already like drawn out and stuff. But I'm not going to do that until I get my second contract, because one, it's motivation to get that second contract and get, what I want in it. And two, like, it's just not what I'm really worried about it. Like, that's just not who I am. So, people have made fun of me, like, oh, why you dress like this and that? Like, why don't you do like all the things that, stereotypical NFL athletes do? And I'm like, it's not me. Like, I have it, but it's for me. It's not for y'all to see on me. Like, damn. But yeah, I don't really have a big buy. So most expensive thing now I have is just my car and then my couch. I have a lot of pride in my couch. Anybody who sees it, they know what it is.
There's a reason this man's a Yale econ grad.
Is it a nice leather couch, and what color is it?
Not even leather. It's just when I went, like it was just the most expensive couch in the thing. It's like Sophia, that lady from Modern Family,
Sophia
like,
Vergara.
Yeah, and I knew she was bad, so I was like, yeah, I want that one. And then
I don't blame you.
It's a full section, so it's like a big U, and then I can complete it. It looks like a big playground, really. And then I didn't measure it because I didn't really measure the feature, so it takes up my whole living room space. This big ass couch.
Welcome to the couch room.
I said when I buy like a house, it'll be like down in my man cave, or whatever. Just because I have a lot of pride in it. I take care of it.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
Hilarious.
So post draft. So now you're about to be a Falcon. So going into camp as a 6th round pick, what kind of things did you do to like A, prepare yourself for camp, and B, like, knowing that you have to make an impression on the coaches, to really to get on their radar? What kind of things did you do?
I asked older guys what they thought it was going to be like, or what things that they thought I should focus on. 2, like, we got a playbook kind of early, so like they kind of ship it to you and mail it to you. So I'm just trying to understand it as much as I can. And 3, ask whatever the coaches want from you, what kind of because they have plans for you where they expect you to be at. So try to always be there and then surpass it. So a lot of people, I think, kind of get complacent, think they made it, but you kind of realize that all these rookies come into the rookie camp, they cut like all of them, maybe basically all of them, I would say. Out of the amount that come and the amount that stay, not a lot make it. And like everybody gets a little, NFL shirts, whatever, But how many people are actually, sticking around is something that is very eye-opening. And then of those, now we get to training camp, all the people that are in training camp, how many of them stay? Not a lot. So that's just traumatizing to see every year. But it really pushes you got to be the cream of the crop. You got to do something better than everybody else. So one thing I knew I could do better than people at that time was, learn and retain information. So I was just trying to retain everything from special teams. I knew I was going to be a special teams player right away. Just do everything right, do the drills right, be right on my assignments, don't miss a punt protection, don't miss, don't jump offside, all that stuff. Get your techniques right. And then on defense, I just had to be a sponge, because one thing the linebacker coach told me, Rick told me, is like, you're not coming in here to redshirt. And I was like, I barely played real linebacker. I don't know what you're talking about, but I understand what you're saying. Like, I'm going to be prepared to play whenever you want to play me. So that's a lot of learning, and you can't mess up because he has to have the confidence to play you. So week 1, Debo goes down with a Jones fracture in his foot, and now he just throws me in there. I was like, bro, what are you doing? But he had that confidence to do that, and I'm like, this is good because I want to play. That's what's going to get you better. And 2, I was just proud he had the confidence to put me in there. Obviously, I wasn't the best player yet, but I knew it was something that was going to help me out in the future. So, yeah.
How was that once you received? First of all, how big was the playbook, and is it like, is there a big learning curve from like seeing an NFL playbook versus like maybe what you had in college? Or
so in college, I didn't even understand our whole playbook. I knew I was just kind of a featured guy, so I knew week to week what I was doing. I was probably going to cover a tight end. We played a lot of man, and it was a specific blitz patches. I say which blitzes are it. I know on this play I'm going to blitz this gap. But in NFL, it's a lot of moving part with disguises and stuff. Everything has a coordinate because if you give up the blitz too early, like I remember in training camp, we were playing the Chiefs. I was covering Kelsey. I wanted to get down and cover him because, I'm trying to prove that I can cover tight end. And I do get down there, cover him. But I lined up right over him, like just right over like this. And he would attach the line of scrimmage, so he had his hand in the dirt. And then Keanu was supposed to come on a blitz off the edge, but he was trying to disguise it. But if I'm up pressed, the quarterback knows like if Keanu is also around the same area, the blitz is probably coming from over here. So I basically gave his blitz away, and the running back came off his run play action and blocked him. And then, I don't know where the ball went. He didn't go to Kelsey. I was hyped. But Keanu came to me after the play like, yo, like, you can't do that. And I was like, what are you talking about? So then the next day after preseason game, the next day when we were watching the film, he's like,
me and Ryan were actually there for that game. That's funny.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Later that, maybe not that drive, but later that game, Mahomes, I didn't know Mahomes was good, but he threw that 80-yard pass to Tyreek Hill.
That's when Marco and I looked at each other and we said, okay. It was on the run, like 80 yards in the air on a dime. We were just like,
yeah, literally walking into that game, I was like, yeah, I don't think Kansas City is going to be that good this season. And we saw that, and I was like, never mind.
Just kidding.
Exactly, yeah. But that was welcome to NFL moment for sure, too. But, yeah, that's just something I had to learn. Like, everything's kind of coordinated with each other. Like, if the D-line stunts, you have to know, not only where you're lining up, where you're going to wind up. Maybe because the D-line is stunting this way, this run is probably going to, maybe it's my start front side is going to pop back to the back side because that's where the hole is going to open up. So even though it's going left, you want to play it slower going left because it's going to end up right. There's a lot of more things about football that you learn being in the NFL than college. Is like, I'm going to do this, line up here, run as hard as I can. Like, it's just a simpler game in college that people might not, be up to speed with once they first get to the NFL.
So just an analogy wise, so if high school is a C, in NFL is an A, what is college?
And how good of an athlete are you? That's what matters.
I mean,
for me, it was a C+. I could go out there wherever. I knew I was covering that dude. And I knew I was getting a tackle. Like, wait.
So if I run a 4.4, I'm good.
Yeah, you're straight. Like, I want to imagine receivers. Like, nobody else going to run straight. That's why, even receivers, they got to learn all these releases and stuff. They might be beasts in college. They get to the NFL. It's not like that. Everybody runs a 4.4 now. You know what I'm saying? So you're good. It's simpler. I'm sure for Julio, he does everything great, but the game could be a lot simpler for him. Than for me coming in, I had to make sure I was on all my stuff. Like, let's say Tyreek Hill doesn't run the route right, he could just, run horizontally and get open. You know what I'm saying? So, I think definitely for me, learning everything and being able to conceptualize stuff is what helped me stay in the league that rookie year, and then be able to understand how it could get better.
So, you kind of touched on the difference, but what was the adjustment as far as the speed of the game? Because, you kind of got thrust into the fire, right out the gate, with Debo going down. So, how difficult was it for you to adjust to the speed of the NFL game?
Luckily we had training camp and stuff. But I think one thing that I'm happy for myself with is I come in with no expectations. I just come in knowing the game's going to be way faster because I don't have any like college pride because I went to an Ivy League school. So, as I said, I didn't have to. I said I was a C plus because I was just a better athlete than most people on the field. I knew coming in the NFL, it was not going to be like that at all. So I was kind of every play I played, I was like, oh, it's going to be like this. So I remember in training camp, even though we were like rookie camp, it was already way faster than the Ivy League, and then training camp way faster than rookie camp. So I remember our first game, NFL game, Eagles game. Debo got hurt. Now I'm in it was close to the goal line. I got cut out of a play going to our right, and they score. And I feel like, I don't feel like the loss is on me, but I feel like I maybe couldn't have made the play if I like got over the top and had significant effort. Maybe got him out the end zone. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I got to learn, how to anticipate better. I got to, read these linemen just that much faster because these linemen, they're fast. Like they're fast. They're paid to go cut me off. Even though I'm fast, they're quick and good athletes. So, but now I know like that's just how it's going to be. Like, I got to get better in order to make those plays. And then every day I work to get better. I don't think I have much complacency in me because I want to be, one of the greats in the game while I'm playing. I want the respect from other coaches and other players that, this kid can go out and get it done. So that's one thing I'm always going to strive to do is see how things are and then find a way to get good or better than whatever I'm going against.
So let's fast forward or really focus more on what you were talking about there in that Eagles game. So it's September 6, 2018. You walk out on the field in Lincoln Financial Field. You're going against the defending Super Bowl champions. And, it's the opening game to the NFL that season. I've heard some players, NFL players say, I can remember everything about that stadium. I can remember exactly how bright the lights were, what the grass smelled like. I could tell you what the guys in the concession stands were selling. And then some players are like, look, it was just one big blur. It happened so quick. I didn't know what that was like. What was that like for you coming into, the big league?
It was nerve wracking for sure. I remember it was just really cool too though. But Sunday night, not used to playing at night because all of our games at Yale were Saturday in the afternoon. Under the lights, Yale did not have lights, so that was interesting. Then rain delay, so now it's really late.
Oh yeah, there was a rain delay.
Yawning in the locker room, like, bro, how it's bedtime. What is up? then we run out finally, and then I see out the stadium. I don't go out for pregame. I kind of do my own thing, like lift a little bit of weights, do a whole bunch of stretches and stuff in the locker room. Go out for the first time, and it's just big stadium full of people, which I'm not accustomed to. Like, this is wild. Then they're all booing. I'm like, what are all these people booing for? Like, this is amazing. It's shaking full of boos. I'm like, this is amazing. This is one of a kind. And then, we're kind of going through our pregame routine. And Debo sees Leroy Reynolds on the other side, and he's like yelling at him, kind of jawing back and forth. I'm like, how do you know that, man? Like, what? I didn't know Leroy. I didn't know he played with us. I'm like, okay. Like, I got that information in kind of second quarter. But Leroy's on special teams. He's a dog and stuff, and he's talking shit to whoever he's going against. And I'm going up against he's in the Dolphins now. Gruber Hill.
Another fast linebacker.
So, I've been watching film, and all my heroes wasn't the better special teams player. So, first we get our punt, and he calls out our protection. I'm like, oh my gosh, he knows what we're about to do. But and he's like lying over me. He's like telling me he's gonna block me and stuff. So I get off the block, and I'm running down the field. This is my first NFL play. And then he comes to me after the play. I think it must have been a fair catch or something. He's like, oh, you're pretty fast. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was a safety. He's like, okay, well, chill out. Like, I'm trying to give you, respect. But at that point, I knew, like, he was one of the better special teams players. I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to play in this league. Now I have the confidence that I belong in the league. And then, going from that point, Debo gets hurt, and I'm back up there. I think I made a special teams tackle too or something like. But there are definitely specific points from that game where like, all right, that's why I realized that I'm going to be straight, at least at that point, special teams. And then, unfortunately, but luckily for me, Debo hurt. Then I saw, soon after that, I was going to be all right playing, linebacker, which gave me this confidence to just, keep stacking and keep getting better. But there are definitely always going to be things that, welcome to the NFL moments that just ingrained in my mind forever in that game.
I got a question for you, Foye. Are you in our notes right now? Because you're just like nailing them. Like you're going down to our bullet points here, answering each one. I'm like, all right, well, don't gotta ask that. Don't gotta ask that.
I'm gonna tell you like this though. Your rookie year, there was one play that you really stood out to me. Even you didn't make the play, unfortunately, but it was we played the Browns that season, and Chubb broke the 92-yard run. You were on the backside of the play, and Chubb was breaking an open field, and you just see this linebacker run from the other side of the field, run him down, catch up to him, but you couldn't get him down because I know Chubb is a big boy. He's a strong. I'm a Georgia fan, so I know how big and strong Chubb was. You didn't get him down, but I was like, bruh, who is this linebacker that just ran down Nick Chubb? And it was just like, okay, this is. I think he's gonna be pretty good for it.
Yeah, I remember that because it was that was one of the plays I was talking about because I think it was a 90-something yard run too. Our line slanted the opposite way of the run, so that means the linebacker. If you know that's happening, you got to play fast the opposite way. So if the run does go the opposite way of the slant, that means you got to go fast. Unfortunately. Yeah. Whoever a linebacker was did not go fast, so I think he got captured a little bit. He couldn't make that play off that block. Yeah, that's my boy, dude. He didn't make the play going off the block, and then the safety was captured, and then it was just off to the races. So I just see him running, and then it was the first play of the drive or something. I was just running too, and I thought I had a good chance on him. Like I made good ground, and this time I learned like I feel like I was running faster than because I was running faster than I could have just like lost maybe 15 more yards and just, wrapped them up or something, made the tackle. But I felt desperation, so I like dove and tried to heel clip him. And then, he, stumbled a little bit, but kept running and got that touchdown. But yeah, I did run fast. I like to tell our DBs that, I do have speed now. I forgot how fast it was, but I think it was 20 something miles an hour I was running that thing. It was fun.
I can believe it. Like, I now granted, I'm the photographic memory in here, so they were unbalanced. You were on the strong side, and so of course, y'all they all slanted towards the strong side, and they ran weak. Yeah. And that Duke was he hesitated before filling the hole. Okay. So center wound up pulling and reaching him, and that's what opened up the hole. And Casey took a bad angle. He got a little too flat on the angle, and that's when he was off to the races.
Damn, Micah,
you're photographing.
I told you. I remember it like there.
These terrible flashbacks.
I will remember every detail on a play.
We're not trying to remember that game right now.
He's like, hey, remember this terrible play? I'm going to detail all of it for
you. So as we move a little bit closer to, today, I want to sort of get your insight onto, so you can sort of like counterpoint the season before and then the season of COVID. So like, how did the COVID season affect your preparation, compared to the year before? Like, what was different? What, adjustments did you have to make, and how did you handle that mentally as well?
So the COVID season made more of an off-season training, like individual by yourself, like not through the team. And I enjoyed that and didn't enjoy that because I like being around the guys and seeing who my teammates are and kind of connecting with my team. Especially with the bigger role I was about to play. I think everybody knowing each other plays a solid part and become like a solid defense. But at the same time, we got like our iPads where like you get to train wherever you want, focus on what you feel like you need to focus on, which I feel like definitely helped at the same time. Because I watched a lot of the film that I wanted to watch. I watched other linebackers. Me, it's not like I was focused on just playbook the whole time. Because one, I basically knew the plays that we ran because our third year. And two is like you finally give me my iPad. Like I was in Denver, like I didn't have nothing else to do except watch my iPad and work out. That's why I go there, is just to get away from everything and everybody and just focus on football. So yeah, there were definitely advantages and disadvantages. But I feel like maybe a middle ground where it's not as that long would help out. Because I know some people don't like OTAs at all, but I feel like getting in touch with your teammates and kind of going through everything together definitely helps out the team aspect of it, which is important in football.
Did you do the Gronk thing and bring like 6 different shirts in? It's a one workout. Like, did y'all have to like check in? Did they like, was there like a check in type of thing in terms of to make sure you were working out, or did they just sort of let you handle it?
We had a group chat. Like our coach would be like, "Oh yes, like everybody just post a little picture that you're working out." Kind of just making sure we're keeping each other accountable. But I mean, I feel like everybody's going to work out to where they're going to be good for the next year. Let's say I came back and wasn't in shape. That's not a good look, and I probably would have my playing time taken away. So, yeah. Gronk, he had that. Did he sign with it? When did he sign with them?
It was
soon after Brady.
Yeah.
Or right after.
Oh,
Brady,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they just got to make sure he's in shape. But he's going to be Gronk regardless. So I'm sure in their minds they just wanted to make sure that he wasn't, still out partying every year. Because I actually went to the Super Bowl in Miami, and one of my Yale friends took me to a concert, and he was there like shirtless on the stage, like jumping around. I was like, that's crazy, bro. Like, ain't no way he's coming back. And then 2 months later, signed with the Bucks. I'm like, that's I could never do that, but that's fun.
Right. It sort of showed early in the season for him, though. He was definitely
exactly.
So, how would you rank your season this past year? Did you meet your expectations?
Initially, I wanted to my only real goal is I want 100 tackles. That just means being around. But what's the actual goal? Is expectation, just being around the football. And I wanted to make plays on the ball. I wanted the ball in my hands, being able to take the ball away from the other team. So that's something I kind of had in my mind in the beginning of the season. I wrote it on my mirror, how can I get the ball this week? Turnovers, playmakers. That's the next step in my game. So that's something I kind of just honed in on, and I think I was able to do a better job. I think I need to do a more consistent job. I punt that ball out a couple of times, but I kind of not broke, but kind of use my hand a lot, so I kind of got deterred from it. But coming back next year is definitely something I'm going to be focused on again, finding that air behind the ball and punches, and then ways I can pick the ball off or whatever. So fumble recoveries, all that. I think that's just a key part of being a defense, getting the ball back to the offense, however you got to do it.
Maybe was one of your goals forcing 3 fumbles in 17 snaps?
I was watched. That was the game I was going against my boy. We went to high school together. So
yeah. Oh, I know. I know.
It was personal.
Was there something? Did you think back okay, I know he likes to do this, and you had insight, or was it just right place, right time in that game?
Right place, right time. I was just.
Man, you came out you had your hair on fire that game. It was game kicked off, and you're like, "There's Foye, there's Foye, there's Foye." It's damn.
Did he say something that triggered you that?
Nah, he didn't have to say nothing. Nah, it's great. I mean, everybody knows him, and then I was an underdog, so I just didn't want to be seen as that guy who played with him. I kind of always how people talk about us, like the guy who played with him. So naturally, it's kind of the underdog. You have that little fire when you go up against them, but it's all love between us. I saw him this offseason. We hung out and stuff. So I told him every time he's inspirational. Why I got to the league, because when he did it, I realized I could do it. So obviously, when he's a big star, I said if you can do that, I have a role. But now obviously I see that my role can be greater. That's always something I'm motivated by him for sure.
What did your hands feel like after punching that ball out 3 times?
Got X-rayed right after the game. So unfortunately, I only played 1 quarter because whatever was happening, I was probably too hyped. I pulled my hamstring a little bit, so I was out. And then I noticed my hand was getting fat. I was like, "What's wrong with my hand?" So I didn't take that glove off because I don't know why. I just didn't. And then after the game, it was a balloon. I could barely get it off. I said, "I think my hand's broken." I broke my thumb before. It looked just like it, but it was in the middle of my hand. They X-rayed it. It wasn't broken, but through the year it stayed big, and then the swelling got to the knuckles and fingers, and I couldn't make a fist in that hand at all. So you just live with it, though. I got 3 balls out. Worth it.
You never think how much you're putting on the line just to punch a ball out from an NFL running back. Yeah.
Geez. So rounding out the aforementioned theme earlier, like in the opinion of we here at Fishing and Grits, that you were a Pro Bowl snub this year. Like you definitely played well above, what people were expecting you to. You had escalated your game and all over the place. So to not have that happen, and to have this type of season, and continuing that theme of always being, underrated, really, in the eyes of like the media or the football world. You had mentioned it earlier, only briefly. Is that something that, like, do you consider yourself an underdog? Do you consider yourself as that guy like, look, I'm gonna prove it to you. I'm gonna show you how good I am.
Yeah, I definitely. That's something I always say before every game: prove it, earn it. I've been underrated in football, really anything since I was little. Just probably I don't go around boasting about stuff. People just don't expect it from me. I try to be, have a nice persona and stuff. So, people kind of let me fly by like the radar. Like they don't really talk about me and stuff, but I don't really care about because if I go up against them, they're gonna know how good I am. But it is definitely not recognition, not like accolades and awards, but definitely just respect. So I didn't really care that I didn't get the Pro Bowl because I know how the Pro Bowl works. I don't think I would have gotten the Pro Bowl unless I was doing like something crazy. I mean, a lot of people who I feel like deserve to be in the Pro Bowl didn't get in. I just wanted to be talked about, being able to be in contention for it. And then let's say I want to have a better year next year. If I do that, then I think I'll have a shot. But it's still hard because, there's stars in the league for sure. And it is a fan-based voting. So if the Falcons need to win games, that's our first concern. If my stats are good while the Falcons are winning games, that's when I have the best shot. I think that's when anybody will have the best shot because I think the teams with the most success have the most players in the Pro Bowl. But first and foremost, we just win games and everything takes care of itself. So that's what I'm really gunning for, winning as many games as possible.
Yeah.
Winning the big one too.
Yeah, that's true because, you think back on someone like London Fletcher back in the day. I don't know if you remember him, but he was a hell of a linebacker, never made a Pro Bowl until like his 12th season. So yeah, I would agree. Winning is definitely important because fans don't know a lot of players really unless
defensively.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even if you think about like the Grits Blitz from like Atlanta Falcons history, like a lot of those guys never made the Hall just because those teams weren't, even though they were as talented, if not more talented than a lot of people who did. Those wins play a big part in the media looking at you and be like, oh, this guy, this is good. Yeah.
Yep.
So just an aside question real quick, just alluding back to the COVID thing. How strange was the atmosphere in the stadiums without fans this last season?
It was eerie, definitely. I remember the Seattle game, our first game, there was no stadium or no people in the stands. And it just kind of felt like everybody was dead. Like everybody kind of was like, what's happening? Like, where's the news going to come from? But I like to make the joke that in the Ivy League, every game is like that, except the hard you kind of got to bring your own juice. A lot of your cheering is going to be from your own sideline. You got to be obnoxious with it, but that gets stuff rolling and then kind of infects you throughout the whole team. So I felt right at home with the no fans and stuff. And then kind of as the season got on, there were more fans letting the stands in specific stadiums, so it was fine there. But at first, it was definitely you could see people a little shook by it.
Look at Julio and Debo, like, look, I know this isn't an SEC game, guys. Some of us played without fans.
So I'm gonna take this in a little bit different direction. So tell us about the diet of an NFL linebacker. So what do you eat on a typical day?
In season or out of season?
Both. Either
Both?
one.
Out of season, I feel like it's more regimented because I get my own meals. So maybe the first month of off season, I'm just chilling. I'm not really concerned. I'm concerned, but I don't really make sure I know exactly like what's going in my diet. And then by like second month, like when I'm about to start training again, I'll be like, all right, I need to start eating my lean meats and greens. So, and then by the third month, like I'm really in training, I really order my meals from a specific food service, and I know exactly which ones, so I can see which ones I want to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner throughout the day. The serving sizes and all that. It's usually going to be like a lean meat, turkey, chicken, maybe steak, though. But like it's all cooked, better than like if I cook, it's gonna taste amazing and be kind of fatty and all that stuff. If I get it from a service, it's gonna be cooked. Maybe I'll like make my own seasonings on it, but it's gonna be healthier. And then always a serving of vegetables, the good vegetables in there. That's like your oil in the body. And then the starches depend on the carbs, depend on what you're gonna do for the day. So around lunch, you definitely want those carbs. That's usually when I get my training in. And then dinner, I try not to eat carbs because I don't need to burn any calories and stuff while I'm sleeping. And then breakfast, obviously, get back to eating maybe a little bit. But you kind of got to mix and match. You got to know how your body works and what works best for you. But everything's more strict in that off-season, getting your body ready for the season. Then when you're in the season, things get a little bit weird because now you're at the facility all day with practices and stuff. So facility luckily like gives us food, prepares us food, and then you kind of get to pick what you feel like you need for the day. But I can't eat much. Our lunch is right before we practice, and I can't really eat a whole bunch and then go run. So I make sure I kind of load up on carbs right before lunch, and then maybe my dinners will be more protein based than that. And then breakfast, usually stuff with oatmeal, eggs, and maybe I'll have French. That's kind of I can cheat sometimes. Like French toast on Fridays and Thursdays on Fridays, or just Thursdays. And then I always have a protein shake with like a lot of like a healthy dose of like vegetables and all that. It tastes good because they put some ginger and like fruit in there, but I say I need like more vegetables in the day, so they gave me like a thick protein shake of it, and that kind of gets my veggies in for the day. But I like to watch what I eat. Obviously, everybody's different, but I think having a good, strict diet routine is definitely helpful for the body.
But so how much has your diet changed since your rookie season?
Rookie season, I was pretty good about it. That's when I got all the information that like I needed. So I learned about a lot of this stuff in college just through I always asked we hired a guy who was like our weightlifting coach / nutritionist. Like he was just some science, body composition, all this stuff. So I was always asking him questions. And then when I went out to Colorado, that's when I learned how important it was to follow all this stuff. And then I wanted to give myself the best shot and, become a good player. So that's when I kind of implemented all that stuff into my game. And then when I got to a facility where all the food was just laid out in front of me, I was like, all right, now I get to pick this and this and this. Then it was really going to that rookie off season. I was like, oh, I have enough money to just like, buy meals that are already made how I need them made. And then that just helped me, kind of get a routine going in the off seasons and stuff.
Man.
So, go ahead, Mike.
He's way advanced over his years. Like he's not like Marshawn Lynch is eating Skittles all day.
I grew up just like that. So I have a pantry really because it was always I have like a pantry, like you pick something out and just like replenishes back. So I still got like a pantry of snacks, but like especially in season, I look at it and I just don't touch it. Like maybe if I'm having like a bad day, I'll have like some Skittles or something because I was like a Skittle addict growing up. And that's really like why coaches always come talking to me about diet and stuff. I actually have the worst diet, but still be athletic. So I'm a popcorn addict for sure, but I like popcorn. That's not going to go away. And candy, any type of like that fruity candy, Jolly Ranchers, Max.
What color is your favorite Skittle pack? What's the best Skittle pack color?
Purple's the best, and then the light blue.
Light blue's
I try to eat any type of Skittle, like any new bad they're gonna make. Like I definitely try it. Like they just made some yogurt one that I was very disappointed in.
Yeah, but I didn't like those.
I don't know what they were thinking on that, but
they could have been better.
Yeah, I like any type.
That's pretty dope though. So what you're saying is you don't eat Chipotle 6 times a day like some of your teammates?
My boy Keith. I do not. But that's what works with him.
Does he really does he get 6 burritos or does he get like 6
like bowls? It's crazy. I didn't believe it. And then he said, no, I eat that. And then I watched like his story of him eating, Chipotle 6 different times. And eventually like Chipotle sent him like a card where he just goes in there and gets Chipotle for, I don't know if it's free, but they gave him like enough money or something on a card to get Chipotle. But
that's crazy.
You got a Chipotle black card.
They sent him a nice letter and everything. So yeah, it was dope.
Thanks for raising our stock prices.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start into our final bit of questions here, and we appreciate you sticking around for this long for us. So we're gonna kind of bring it more current. Where the Falcons are today, where Foye is today, and then we'll let you loose. So, Marco, if you want to lead that off for us.
All right. So this team that is loaded with excellent athletes and great football players, including yourself. Who would you say on the team is like, who are you closest to on the team? Like, who is your, maybe your best friend on the team? I don't know. I know best friend is like elementary, but you know what I mean?
He's my best bud.
We got two on the team. I said Isaiah Oliver, so we came in the same draft class together, and we were just kind of quiet. I thought he was just big time at me because he was in the second round pick, and I was just nervous, and I'm usually quiet at first until I get comfortable, and so I was just kind of watching him like, yo, when's he gonna talk to me? Like,
too loud, Cruz.
And then eventually he did, and I realized he was just a quiet, nervous kid too. So we became friends, and then Jacob Toyota Mariner is kind of the opposite. He talks to everybody, where I'm like, all right, this kid's gonna act like my friend, but he's friends with everybody. So I didn't really talk to him because I felt like he was just too friendly. This is like a joke between us. So eventually, I remember right after rookie camp, we had like 3 days off. I don't know what holiday that was, Memorial Day or something. I don't know. But we ended up going to like a bar kind of close to where the hotels they put us in. It was very boring, awful bar.
The Flowery Branch?
In Beaufort. It was in Beaufort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different hotels every year. But we were in Beaufort, and we were like, this bar is whack. But like, we just made a fun night out of it. Like, we run a lot of drinking and stuff because we're still, we had days off, but like, we're still in camp and stuff. But he was just a cool ass dude. And then eventually, like, I talked to him. I learned that, he kind of took my mindset. I always say, like, I was very concerned with not making the team. Everybody would come up like, oh, you're doing so well, you're going to make the team. Like, don't tell me that. It's not what I want to hear. I want to hear what I need to get better. So he's like, he saw that, and he just recently told me, like, he has that same mindset because, he did very well at the end of his rookie training camp where we knew he was going to make the team, but he kept on saying, like, nah, I don't think I'm going to be here. I need to do this and this better. So we're always like that. And then so after we did make the team, we hung out as three. We call ourselves the Beanbag Boys. Every Monday, we would go watch a movie, and we watched The Good Boys together one time, and they called themselves the Beanbag Boys. And so we just start calling ourselves the Beanbag Boys. And everybody sees how close we are, and they're like, yo, well, I'm going to join the Beanbag Boys. I'm like, well, do you have a beanbag? And they're like, no, so you can't be in the Beanbag Boys.
Peace out, then.
Yeah, but those are my two boys and like favorite dudes on the team. Yeah.
So, So, what is the craziest thing you've seen Julio pull off in a practice?
I don't even know if it's crazy when you see it every day. So I just remember rookie year, there's a ball thrown deep, and he tracked it. And I guess he saw he had to run faster, so he put his head down, ran, and put his head back up, and then caught the ball. No, he didn't catch it. He caught it over here. He caught it still running through it over here. But it was just crazy to me because I played receiver in high school, and I thought I was pretty good in Ohio State. And I have never saw the ball with my head down. I don't know how he judged how many steps he needed to run before looking back over this shoulder to catch the ball. I'm like, that is ridiculous. How did he do that? And then Debo said, that's just Julio, man. This is how we do it.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, that was wild.
So you see, anybody else pull off something that just kind of blew your mind in practice?
I mean, the throws that Matt makes, for sure, I was not used to that, fitting in tight spaces. And I don't like how NFL quarterbacks, they look you off. Like, let's say they want to throw to where you are, they're going to look maybe 2 inches to the right of you so that you're like, oh, the ball's going there. Because it's just defense. We just want the ball. Like, the ball's coming. And then
right.
So you move out of the room just where, and they throw it to where you were, and it's really annoying.
The look off.
What else happened? Obviously, Red is one of a kind. Just The way he cuts out and in and out of breaks is crazy. Russ can jump over people without running first, so that's really crazy to me. And then Grady is something special too, because you see he's not really the tallest or like biggest stature, but he's just so strong. Like that's one in the weight room. Like I don't know how he's lifting all that weight. I'm just sitting there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get my plates in. I put the plates I put on there, and then I see Grady doing that, and that's his first set. Like he just walks. And then usually like people who do lift that much do not move as he does too. So yeah, he's something special. So there's just a lot of special dudes on that team. So we're gonna get it all right to get this year, get it all moving well together. We're gonna definitely put a good product out there on the field with a whole bunch of games.
Micah, take this one next. I think that fits better.
All right. So what have you heard about the Coach Dean Pease scheme? Have you heard any, or have you talked to him yet?
I'm in the facility. Usually right now I'm snowed in Texas, but usually I'm in the facility getting like rehab on my knees. I got some shots in them so they stop hurting. But so I saw all the coaches in there and I talked to him and he said we're definitely gonna get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. However we're gonna do it. I obviously haven't seen the playbook, and he's gonna basically be unpredictable. Now he don't run one thing; he runs a lot of different things, probably week in, week out. So you got to be versatile, and you got to be able to adjust your game to figure out what's best to beat that team. So I don't think he has one scheme that he runs. I think he finds out what's best to beat the team. You have to be able to do it.
That's exciting as a fan to hear too. We're going to do whatever it takes to stop them. That's super exciting. Two-part question here for you, really. And the first one, if you're not comfortable answering it, we get it, but you're privy to some information and some insight on some things that we as fans or the media is not able to portray. But, with the recent turnover with the Falcons, we saw some very familiar faces leave. We saw some, people leave that some of us were very fond of. With some of the things that weren't going as well for the Falcons, for the team, would you say that was more so, like the players weren't executing scheme properly? Sometimes you just get beat on plays. What did you see for the reason for the slow starts these last couple seasons, and what ultimately led to Dan Quinn being fired?
I don't know how it's different yet because I haven't had a new coach or a full coaching staff yet. So I've had the same coach the whole time. So the one thing I just do know, like we didn't play winning football throughout the whole game. So a lot of people think, oh, they're not clutch. They got a lot of times getting down to that last drive. It's hard to win football games having to rely on the last drive, either offense or defense. So a lot of times, though it is the NFL, games are going to be close, but you can win the game in the third quarter. Like it might not be a blowout, but they're definite, first downs you have to get, definite stops, tackles that could have been made, interception that maybe fell through the hands that could have changed the scheme of the game, field goal missed, all that stuff. You have to play football. If the offense sets you up, or has a long drive, maybe but doesn't end in points, the defense can't, let the rest of the offense march down the field and let them score or pin the offense back. So I just think we need to play better winning football. And winning football doesn't always start in the fourth quarter or in the last drive. So I think that was really something that we have to change our mindset on. Like, instead of like, oh, it's the fourth quarter. No, it's the full game. So win from the first play.
A lot of the fans and especially the media around here was like, oh, the Falcons just don't know how to win. They're not clutch. Was that something that y'all would hear from opposing teams?
Oh, from opposing teams. Opposing teams just thought it was weird that we were losing. Like they watch film, but they don't see the TV copies where announcers are saying whatever they think that stuff is, or fans are, I don't know. They don't really know what they're talking about, but they're talking. You watch it on film and see how hard we play. It's just crazy stuff that happens. Like when you take all the noise out and just watch the game, it's just like, how did they lose this game? Yeah. But it's crazy because like we were losing the games. Like so it might happen once in a year, twice a year. It was game after game after game. I'm like, I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean,
But at the end of the day, like you got to stop like saying why is this happening and figure out like why it's happening. It's us out there playing. I don't really care who the coach is. It happened at the end of the year too. So, yeah, I think we got to do a better job keeping each other accountable throughout the whole game as players and play winning football from the jump, as I said before.
yeah, I mean, myself and Micah included, and Marco as well. There were times where like, look, this like, fans would talk to us or some of our friends that we were talking to in group chats like, oh, the defense is trash. I'm like, no, man, you don't understand. Like this defense is stacked. Like, there's some things that we could obviously get better on, and the team in general. It's like you don't understand how much talent is on this team. You're like, oh, well, they're ranked 29th. I'm like, forget all that.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Before I ask this next question, I want to throw this in there. What was the big difference that you saw when Raheem and Albrecht took over? Like, was it more simplified? Because I know when they say Raheem took over last year, he simplified the defense a little bit. But this year, especially, it seemed like we got a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, that was it. We just got more aggressive. I think we just wanted to force the hand and make stuff happen early. But getting more aggressive, you kind of had to rely on, 1 and 2 coverages, which is man and basically zone man. We call it matchup zone. Which is basically man. So if you have like simulated pressures, which I think Tony Wynn would love to talk about, like we send a DB or linebacker, but you pull out a lineman, you have to play like a matchup zone, which is basically man to man, but specific rules in there. We had to rely on that and then trying to get pressure through the blitzes just because of injuries and people were kind of playing hurt and this and that. But we had to get pressure on the quarterback and try to make it happen.
Yeah. And then how did Dan and TD say goodbye to y'all?
Zoom call, and they came up to like move their stuff out and you could come say bye to them.
Gotcha.
I know
no, it's a personal thing.
I think it was a Zoom call. It was because Coach Rob was on the Zoom, and I think they came on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the whole team was on one Zoom call when they said bye, sort of?
Yeah, like a team meeting, yep.
Okay. Cool. So when y'all do that, is it like 64 faces just on the screen?
However many is like, but we just like click on one and make it the main. Like because they're in the team meeting room that we would normally be in. And then, then we're just all at our hotel or home, wherever we are, watching.
Okay, cool. So, just into personal life stuff, did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did watch this. Yeah, a lot.
What'd you think about it?
I think Tampa, played our defense against the Chiefs, and then they won.
I mean, for real. Like, I think when we previewed that game.
I think that's all I kept saying. Like I had some other interview that said, I think the way to beat the Chiefs is like press them and not let them just have free access while running, because although they have speed, you just can't be afraid of it. And they did play, too high, but they did play man too high the whole game, and they just let their D-line won with just a straight rush. They might have chopped it up a little bit. They just won 4 on out of 5, and they were just giving it to the quarterback. So tiring day for Mahomes, but it worked. It worked. And then, their offense was, they set it up. Once they got the run game going, I think it was the drive that they didn't score on. I think they got stopped on goal line, but it was a telling drive because they were running the ball. And now all of a sudden, when they run the ball, their pass game is through the roof because you want them to be one-dimensional. Now it's in the play action, like the run pass. I don't know. I think, they had a one pass in the rock, even that, even the DBs were like, "What? I don't know what happened."
Yeah.
That's just because you can't. If you don't know what to expect, it's hard to play them.
Did you a Weeknd fan? Did you enjoy the halftime show?
I like some of the Weeknd songs. I forgot what album I liked. I liked him before he became all poppy, but he sings well. I mean, the halftime show wasn't anything to be hype about, I think. But the song, if you like the songs, it was great. But he didn't do anything but walk around and sing. And
I think he should have
literally walk around.
He should have brought a guest out.
Grab this camera.
He should have brought like Alicia Keys out or something.
Yeah,
he should have done anything than what he did.
Yeah, I wasn't hyped on it, but he made his money and he's happy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And just in terms of other sports that you follow in the NBA right now, or you got a team in any other sport, or are you engaged in that kind of thing?
I'm a diehard Kentucky basketball fan, it has been the worst year
Oh, God.
since Billy Gillispie, even worse than a Billy Gillispie year. Yeah, it's been a bad year for it. And it's just really weird because I don't know. I don't blame anybody in sports anymore, but they're just not, winning games. It just looks like other teams are better than them, which is not normal for Kentucky fans to see. So
it's like it's Duke. I think they said Duke and Kentucky have not been both unranked since like 1959 or something like that. Do you think it has something to do with like the one and done thing and maybe
I think they missed. I won't say they missed because I think a lot of those dudes have good potential for the NFL. I just think that maybe with COVID they didn't get on campus to understand how Coach Cal runs his stuff, and maybe they're just not like all of them aren't playmakers. I don't know how much y'all watch basketball, but you have to have a playmaker on the team. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have somebody to set up the offense, go to when they need a bucket. And sometimes it takes growth, and some people are just born with it. But I think a lot of those dudes might be people. Somebody makes the play for them, they can finish the play. So they're just struggling right now.
To me, they look like a lot of AAU players.
Yeah.
Individuals,
they don't play well together at all.
Yeah, individual AAU stars and can't play like a team.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Foye, wrapping things up here. Let's see. What are your plans for after football? As someone who's graduated from a very prestigious school with an econ degree, which is not an easy degree to get from any school, especially an Ivy League school. What do you see yourself doing after football?
That kind of changes from year to year. At first, I wanted to still go back into finance like how my friends do, but then I realized, the longer I stay in sports, the more I feel like that's what my passion is. I think that, after doing this, I can go into something that I'm passionate about. So I definitely want to keep it in sports, but I know my calling is numbers and analytics and all that stuff. So whether it's finance within a team or within a sport, maybe I have to go back to school for it. Or if it's just, kind of breaking down games and kind of doing the analytics behind that, I think that's something I can get into pretty easily. But numbers in sports, really, something that I'll have to find that out soon.
Nice. What were your thoughts on this recent GameStop-centric stock market scandal here, or do you have any?
It's sad that how it ended. I thought it was funny because you kind of realize the power of the people who don't have power to kind of like that. I mean, really, like if everybody got into the stock market, if we were taught about how to use the stock market effectively, we could really, people who shouldn't be able to run the United States could run the United States, with financial stuff. But they did not want that to happen. So they had to, shut that down. And unfortunately, people got scared and if they just stayed in it, they would have been fine. But people got scared, started pulling money out, and this is not how to play stocks. I think I play stocks, I play finance just like the long game. I might invest in something, I let it go, and you watch it grow. Maybe it won't grow, but it's money that you're okay losing, which clearly wasn't money that they were okay losing. That's why they pulled it. And some people got hurt, some people made money, but I thought it was cool to see how, maybe people less wealthy or people who they didn't expect to get into the stock market ended up running the stock market for that short period of time.
Yeah.
You got a good buy tip? You got a good buy tip for us out here?
No, I don't.
He's like, I do, but I'm not going to share it.
No, right now I invest in mostly like ETFs and stuff. So I see maybe electric cars. So one thing is all cars are going to be electric within 20 years or something. So one thing that you find is what is something who makes the best car batteries for electric cars? What company is that? And then finding that, who do they buy from? What part do they need that maybe another company makes that they depend on? Okay, and we buy that. And then they might be low right now, but once it gets every car's electric, maybe they're the most, trusted brand out there. And then they just watch it grow. But one thing I do tell people about is I have a BlackBerry phone. Just because I liked the buttons when I was little. I used to get everybody else's, and they still make phones one phone every 2 years. So when I was little, I used to get everybody's old BlackBerry phones in my school because they were better off than me. They had the BlackBerries when they were cool. I was like, I want that phone. So I just wait till they were done. Maybe they switched to iPhone whenever I had their BlackBerry. And then, as soon as BlackBerry changed to like their Android operating system, we bought my BlackBerry, like the updated ones. And, so then like I became just like a fan. So like anytime I went to an internship or whatever, like one question they always ask me, what stock do you have to tell us about that maybe nobody knows about? Now, so, BlackBerry right now is very cheap. Obviously, like they had their downfall, but there's one thing about a company that, has had a downfall and still kicking is that like all they can do is go up if they rebrand themselves and do this and that. Like if they do the right steps and they stick around, they have a good core, they can obviously go up. So that's one thing I'm always going to keep my eye on. So I just kept my eye on them. And I think that, if cars do go electric, they have a good opportunity to like rebrand themselves and become a prosperous company again. So one thing I do is continue to buy BlackBerry phones. And my snaps and stuff, my Android storage and stuff are weird, but I'm just, rocking with the company that I'm loyal to. So when I'm rich, like a billionaire in like 60 years, when BlackBerry's like the best company ever.
So he told us.
I'm gonna be like, damn, I should have invested. Remember that Zoom
I wouldn't
call?
tell you to, but I just tell you about it.
I'm gonna tell you though, if I think a financial advisor to like NFL rookies would be a very good line for you because the fact that you didn't even do an impulse buy as a 21-year-old. I mean, like you could definitely, and you could be helping a lot of these young guys who are just getting money for the first time in their lives and, want to just immediately go out and burn some of it. You could just advise them and most of them would respect you. So, I mean,
I don't know. It's just one thing because you get money now, but like, especially, I think they're about to change with the new CBA, but I quickly saw that like you get money now. Now it's a 6th round pick, so it wasn't as much as like, a 1st round pick. But if I didn't make the team or if I got cut or something, that money's not going to come. Or if I didn't make the team next year, I got 1 year of NFL money, but how long is that going to last? So I just wanted to make sure that I was going to have money before I was able to spend money. You know what I'm saying? And once you get it, then all right, you're straight. But you want to make sure you have enough to live how you want it to live. So I think that is always important.
Very, very, very wise beyond your years. So you can tell you're a very smart man. I definitely want to thank you, and we all want to thank you for coming on and talking to us, especially for as long as you did. We had a lot of questions for you, and you nailed them all. You even started answering 2 or 3 questions down the line most of the time. Like after I said it, you did it like 3 questions in a row. And I was like, well, there goes those. But we are extremely grateful for you coming on and talking to us, and we wish you.
I appreciate you having me, bro. It was fun. It was very fun.
Yeah, we wish you the best of luck next season. I know you don't need it, but
no, any luck. You need luck, team luck, all of it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe 2 or 3 balls bounce a different way next season, and we're right. But we appreciate you. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, we won't ask you about the draft pick because I know that's a whole a difference maker. That's what we want.
Yeah, for sure.
But we appreciate you and kind of how we came up with the name of our podcast here. We're all Outcast fans being from Atlanta. So Micah, can you see us out and maybe you'll catch on here?
So everybody, this is the end of episode 40. Hope you all enjoyed this interview with the great Foye Oluokun. So I'm gonna wrap it up. So if you like fishing grits and all that sports shit, everybody, let me hear you say,
"Oh yeah, you're."